Hello, everybody. Hello, Joy Booters. I'm so excited to welcome you to my first episode of Ask a Cancer Expert, where we talk about emotional health and healing in the cancer experience and journey, both during the cancer treatment and after. Because, as one Joy Booter once said, cancer can be the gift that keeps on giving. And so there are times when you do feel like you're completely over it. And then there are times where you're still working on healing pieces of your experience. And in this episode with Talaya Dendy, who is a cancer doula and has an organization called On the Other Side, because our goal is always to use our experiences to move forward and to make it to the other side with new vitality and hope and goals for the future. And with her, we discuss a little bit about the trauma of going through cancer, but then also the way that past traumas can be activated and remembered as you're going through cancer treatment, and how important it is to give yourself the time and space for deeper healing and taking the opportunity that comes, unfortunately, when you're faced with uh, a new difficult challenge, to look at the parts of your life where healing is needed, or perhaps change is needed, or more support, or a lifestyle change, and to be able to prioritize that as you move forward in your healing. I hope you enjoy, and let me know your thoughts on this topic. See you soon. Hello, everybody, and welcome to my very first Ask a Cancer Expert, where we're talking about emotional wellness, emotional health after and even during the cancer experience. And the person that I'm interviewing today and that I want to introduce the Joy Boots community to is a wonderful resource in our cancer survivorship community. Her name is Talaya Dendy, and she runs the organization On the Other Side and has a podcast that's become very popular. She has a waiting list of people who are interested in participating on it and being interviewed. And it's called Navigating Your Cancer Journey Together. And I'm going to put in the notes links to all of her different resources and where you can find her on social media and on YouTube. But thank you so much, Talaya, for being my first interviewee. And I was remembering that several years ago, I think it was before the pandemic, you and I had done kind of a pilot talk like this that we called The Dancer and the Doula, or The Doula and the Dancer, because you are a cancer doula. That is what you do. And I wanted to ask you to share with our audience what it is that you do. What is a cancer doula, and what inspired you to do this work?
Well, first of all, Kelly, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be the first person you talk with. It's such an honor. And yes, we did the doula and the dancer. It was a great um, time for us to come together and talk about the work that we do, share information with the community. And so, to answer your question, as a cancer doula, um, I'm going to start first by the definition of a doula. Most people have heard of a birth doula, but they don't really understand the core meaning of a doula. So, a doula is someone who supports another person through a major life change or significant health related experience. That is definitely cancer.
Mhm.
And so, as many women know, birth doulas, they are the beginning of life. They help to bring life into the world. Death doulas are becoming more popular. They help people transition. That's the end of life. And as a cancer doula, I focus on the present with my clients. And that means helping them to figure out strategies to overcome cancer. As a cancer doula, I support my clients holistically. We focus on emotional support and mindset, health, and that could be, helping them to figure out the best life changes that they may need, self-care strategies, and then also advocacy, helping them to get a second opinion, helping them to understand their rights as a patient, helping them to navigate the healthcare system. And then also another piece of that is communication. And that could be with their employer, with definitely with their healthcare team, their family, their spouse. A lot of times communication breaks down, unfortunately, when someone gets cancer or on
Mhm,
the job, they're not sure if they want to share their diagnosis or how to share their diagnosis. So, really helping them to just formulate scripts, take control of those tough conversations so they're not so stressed out and worried about, how those conversations go. So,
mhm,
those are some of the core areas that I support my clients with. And everything is done virtually via Zoom, or some people prefer the phone. So, that's how I work with my clients.
mhm,
And I currently have 2 offers. One is penpal support. That is for introverted people or people who are just so busy, they're overwhelmed with enough appointments, and so they rather just communicate via email.
mhm.
And so the other is a 3-month program where we work together for 3 months, and we just really tackle the challenges and barriers that they're facing along their cancer journey.
How wonderful.
Thank you.
And I think that's so creative to do the pen pal piece because when you're feeling overwhelmed, sometimes you don't want to talk on the phone or set aside the time, but to be able to pace yourself and decide when you're going to communicate, I
Yeah.
love that idea.
And they can
And
also
I
use
sure go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say they can also use that communication as a journal as well,
Mm,
and later look back and see how far they've come on their cancer journey or what tools and strategies actually help them the most. So,
mhm. Wonderful. And I was thinking about the 3-month program and being able to be supported and have somebody to talk through the really difficult feelings and decisions that have to be made and just to process the experience. And I know that I would have benefited from having somebody like you that I
mhm.
could talk with as I was going through the different pieces of my own experience with cancer. And I wanted to ask you, Talaya, to share a little bit about what has gotten you into this cancer survivorship world and
Yeah.
what inspired you.
Yes. So my own experience, Kelly, is what really inspired me because there were things missing in my care. There were gaps in my care. And, I say that what my goal is to bridge the gap between the medical and emotional sides of cancer. And by that, my own experience, it was like I had a great oncologist, I had a great healthcare team. However, there was really no one I could talk to who understood what I was going through, who had been through something similar. And so that created a lot of blank stares whenever whenever I would, try to talk to someone about what I was experiencing. And so that's what really prompted me to do this work. And then also, there's a lot to learn when you receive a cancer diagnosis. And for me, it was easy to get that information, but for some people, it may just be too overwhelming for them.
Mhm. Talaya, could you say a little bit more about your own cancer experience
Sure,
and
sure.
how you dealt with it emotionally?
Absolutely. So I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2011 out of the blue. And I say out of the blue because I was never sick before. Other than the cold or the flu, I didn't have any health issues. And so for me, I really had to get up to speed about how to navigate the healthcare system. Other than my, annual exams like eye doctor physical exams, I didn't have to utilize the healthcare system that much. And so that's where I really had to get up to speed. That is where like my analytical and organizational skills really came into play. But Kelly, I do want to point out that I actually had cancer a year before my diagnosis, and my concerns were basically dismissed.
Oh,
So that's where the advocacy piece comes in. When I
mhm,
got my diagnosis, that's the day Talaya the advocate was born.
uh-huh. Oh, how
Mm.
wonderful. How terrible, and
Yeah,
how wonderful that that's what you have, taken from your experience
mhm.
and are now able to help others.
Yeah, I feel like that's my
Uh,
purpose.
that's your purpose, yes.
Yeah, mhm.
Is there something that well, it sounds like that's something you really needed that you didn't get as you
Yeah,
were going through your own experience. And I've been wondering, is there something that's coming up from your work that is kind of top of mind or that you're learning about that you could share with our audience?
absolutely. So one thing, Kelly, is that I all of my clients have been women. I have not had the pleasure of working with any men, so I can only speak in terms of women. And what I'm finding, Kelly, is that the longer that I work with my clients, the conversation starts about cancer, of course. That's why they're reaching out to me because they've gotten a cancer diagnosis. But the more time that we spend together, this notion of trauma, past traumas come up. And I have found that to be very interesting. You know, a lot of these women, they of course have therapists, but during our conversations, you know, they're looking at one thing I want my clients to do is look at their life, evaluate their life. What are some things that need to be changed? And in the midst of doing that work, past traumas come up. And so I'm like, this is interesting. I just kept seeing this correlation. So I
So while
started
you're
to do,
working on the cancer piece, their experiences from other times, difficult
yes,
experiences and trauma is coming in.
yes. So past childhood traumas. And so I did some research on that because I just thought it was really interesting. Like a lot of women, you know, they have had abuse in their home as children, whether towards themselves or their a parent. You know, some people have seen severe mental health issues that were untreated in their family, alcohol and drug abuse in their family. And so all of those things are considered adverse childhood experiences that typically happen before the age of 18. And so I was just really interested, like this keeps coming up.
Mhm.
So I did some research and I found something written by the CDC, and I'll share the link with you so you can share it with the audience.
Great.
And it says that there is a link to getting cancer later in life if you have experienced adverse childhood experiences. And the more they call them ACEs, ACEs, the more ACEs a person experiences, the more likely they are to suffer from cancer and other mental and chronic health problems.
Mm,
ACEs may affect cancer risk in several ways, including unhealthy behaviors such as drug and alcohol abuse, promiscuity, those kind of things, but then also chronic inflammation.
mm,
And we know that stress, high levels of stress, chronic stress causes chronic inflammation. And so this is something, this theme of trauma in the past has come up so many times. And like I said, I talk to all my clients are women, and some have shared with me that they have, you know, for example, there were a few women who had breast cancer, and they shared with me in their past that they were sexually abused. So that would be considered an adverse childhood experience.
mm,
And I believe there is definitely a correlation because this keeps coming up. And I want to make it clear that this is not trauma due to the cancer. That's real. That happens, of course.
mhm,
But I'm talking about past traumas that have happened in one's childhood.
mhm. Yeah, and I'm thinking about the fight and flight response that comes up when you're diagnosed
Hmm.
and the ways that you feel dysregulated emotionally, in shock, and then as you go through the whole process of cancer treatment, it makes so much sense that earlier traumas and the fight and flight response from those would kind of be linked emotionally and mentally and in your body. as you go through cancer treatments. So I think it's wonderful that you're bringing in this really new research in the last 10 years about the adverse childhood experiences and their additional impact on people. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean you're not going to get cancer, if you didn't have childhood trauma,
yeah.
because um, of course, there are many people who do have the experience of cancer. We don't know exactly what causes cancer,
Mhm.
but the research is showing that these adverse childhood experiences can make you more vulnerable, your
Yes.
system more vulnerable to the inflammation that they're also correlating with uh, being a fertile ground for developing cancer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true, Kelly. And they always say, what does the environment look like for cancer cells to grow? Well, if there's a lot of inflammation and a lot of other things going on, cancer loves that kind of environment. And so it's so important to really, not just on a surface level, but go deep and really address, take care of, get support with those traumas, past traumas, and not just on a surface level. I
Mm,
know that it's hard for a lot of people, it's painful, but a lot of that deep, hard work has to be done.
mhm. And at the other side, which I'm thinking about the name of your organization, your company, on the other side, that's where you reap the fruit of the hard work
Yeah.
and are able to, I think, set down some of the burdens that you've been carrying emotionally and
Mhm.
feel like you have made it to the other side. So it's not like we don't want people getting stuck in the past trauma. We
Right.
really want to help people make it to the other side so that they can enjoy the present moment
Mhm.
and feel happy and joyful in their lives as much as possible.
Absolutely. And it's so important because what I try to explain to people is that, first of all, because you get a cancer diagnosis, it doesn't mean you're going to die,
Mhm.
but you have to do the work of healing your body anyway. So if you have the time, why not heal other areas of your life? And so I always tell people that, on the other side of cancer, there is life. And while you're working on healing from the cancer, try not to just focus on the physical. What other areas, the emotional, the spiritual, what other areas may need some healing and some love too?
Yeah.
And so on the other side of cancer, there's life, and you can create that life for yourself.
Mhm. Really taking this adverse uh, situation of being diagnosed as an opportunity to see what needs healing in my life and where can I direct my energy for my own healing.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Talaya, for helping me to uh, emphasize this really important piece of acknowledging the trauma that comes with a cancer diagnosis and also what we are bringing into this experience from our past.
Yes. Yeah.
And I am really excited to be able to share with my community about your podcast that I highly recommend people listen to and about the ways that you support people. So I'm going to put all those links in our notes so that people can get in touch with you as they wish. And I would love to continue our conversations, our doula and dancer conversations. And the dancer comes from joy boots, being able to dance and feel joyful. So I really appreciate you being with me today, and we'll stay in touch.
Yes, thank you, Kelly, so much for this wonderful opportunity. I'm excited to see where this goes. And yes, let's revisit the doula and the dancer. And thank you, Kelly, for all that you do for the community.
Thank you, Talaya.